And here we go.
There's the W. Here's ignition.
Doubling up.
Did it just do a Kerbal?
Back to the moon and beyond.
Put that in the big bag, Jingle.
Back at home, we all have a lot of work to do, but from here, it sure looks like a perfect world.
Propulsion continues to be normal.
We did have an observation.
Equalize.
343 unfolds to go.
It's orange.
Water towers can fly!
Bingo! Right in the center.
Where's Jacqueline? There it is!
That was surreal.
That's not what we want to see.
No! Oh my God.
Yikes. You bet. We don't need any more of these.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to another NSF live stream from right here on the Space Coast of Florida. You are currently taking a live look over at Space Launch Complex 40 at the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station, where SpaceX's Falcon 9 rocket is poised and hopefully ready to launch the Starlink 10-35 mission in just under 1 hour's time. Seeing some 5x5s filling up the chat already, I would say we are off to a good start this morning, folks. My name is Max Evans, spaceflight content producer here at NSF, and I will be your host for this morning's coverage of the mission. But of course, I am not alone in this endeavor, as I have D-Wise out in the field with us today with some cameras and also with some commentary this morning. How you doing, D?
I am doing great. It is a beautiful morning with clear skies, and there is a rocket vertical on the pad getting ready to launch. So it is always a good day here on the Space Coast.
Indeed it is. And as we speak, actually, we are approaching sunrise here on the east coast of Florida, and there is some light just now gracing the horizon to our east right now. So we are rapidly approaching sunrise. So assuming launch goes off at the currently scheduled time, we should get some wonderful visuals this morning. Just as a reminder, folks, if you have any questions, please feel free to tag us in chat at NASA Spaceflight or at NSF, and we will get to your questions as soon as we can. I think first and foremost, D, would you mind giving us a quick rundown of what Falcon 9 is flying to space today?
Absolutely. Today, Falcon 9 will be launching 29 V2 Starlink mini, blah, blah, blah. 29 Starlink V2 mini satellites are going into low Earth orbit here today. So launching from Slick 40 here at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station, they're going into a low Earth orbit and, 29 more internet satellites that we rely on a quite a regular basis.
Yes, and I think you have a Starlink Mini, do you not?
I do.
And as do I. So these satellites are helping us every little bit that they possibly can. The more they add, especially into the Group 10 shell and the Group 6 shell when that comes about. Still, although there are a lot more satellites in the Group 6 shell than there are in the Group 10 shell. I think there's, oh goodness, I need Alex for this one. I think there's upwards of 6,000 to 8,000 satellites alone in the Group 6 constellation. I could be off on those numbers a little bit, but either way, there are a lot. And obviously, there have been over 100 scheduled missions in the Group 6 shell, but that has been launching southeast here from the Space Coast, and typically only in or through the fall and winter times. And when the springtime hits, that is when SpaceX likes to migrate the trajectories northeast and swap to the Group 10 shells. But in terms of first stage boosters flying today, we actually have a pretty exciting one this morning, folks, because booster 1067 is making its return after, how long has it been since its last flight? I just had it right in front of my face. It was like, I think it was 70 days.
59?
59. Okay, so
Oh wait, no,
still
I'm on the wrong one.
it
Sorry.
is 70 days. 70 days. So this booster flew 70 days ago, but that's not entirely surprising, given the, I guess, turn down in Falcon 9 cadence over the last month and a half or two, as SpaceX went down from two operational drone ships down to one here on their east coast of Florida operations. But booster 1067 is special because to this point, today will be its record flight number 35. So the first Block 5 first stage Falcon 9 booster to cross the 35 flight milestone. And it is by far and away the current fleet leader, either here on the Space Coast of Florida and including the fleet also at the Vandenberg Space Force Station on the west coast of California. In terms of flight history, this booster obviously has a very long list of missions. And we will start with CRS-22, Crew 3, Türksat 5B, Crew 4, CRS-25, Eutelsat Hotbird 13G, SES-03B mPOWER A, PSN Satria, Telecomsat Merah Putih 2, Galileo, Koreasat 6A, and, wait for it, 23 previous Starlink missions. Following stage separation at about 2.5 minutes into flight, if all goes well, 1067 should be meeting the drone ship a Shortfall of Gravitas station about 600 kilometers northeast downrange, roughly in the neighborhood of the Carolinas. So I would say it's business as usual this morning for SpaceX, but in many ways it's not, because obviously we just covered that this is a record flight for this booster and Falcon 9 as a whole. But upon some inspection pre-stream, we had noticed that the NOTAM for this mission is actually considerably larger than what we have previously seen with Starlink in particular. So if you look at the bottom of your screen there, the sort of yellow section is the oh goodness, that's the last that is the normal NOTAM or notice to airmen keep out zone that is posted by the FAA for normal Starlink missions. But I guess because we are well into unknown territory. Sorry, yellow is both this current NOTAM and the ones prior. And the green sticking out above that is the new zone that we had just noticed this morning. And if you also look at the recovery zone to the north of that, there are little shades of green there to the southwest of the zone there. Which, again, that's a brand new addition to what otherwise was the normal standardized keep out zone for Falcon 9 first stages, coming back down for a drone ship recovery, I guess, for these standard northeast Starlink trajectories. So why the change here? Well, I think we can surmise, I guess, just with a quick TLDR explanation, that with this booster having flown, or with this being the current fleet leader booster of Falcon 9s in general, we are well into unknown territory as to what may happen today.
Absolutely. So, I mean, it seems like a safe bet that they are trying to just ensure extra safety, as they are not certain. They are continuing to push the envelope here with the amount of reuse that they're getting in. And the fact that we are now at 35 flights, like, that's a lot for an orbital class booster to withstand. And so it makes sense until they are certain of these capabilities. Like, it's nice that Falcon 9 is so proven. They've been able to shrink down these zones so much. But as they get more into the unknown once again, they will potentially have to expand them. And maybe once they've proven these boosters to 40 plus flights, maybe a 35 flight booster doesn't need this large of a zone. Who knows? We don't have a sort of solid answer or explanation directly from SpaceX confirming that to be the case. But I mean, it makes sense that they would want to add the extra cushion of safety just in case something does happen on one of these Starlink missions, which of course are, I mean, they launch so many, and it's crucial to use these ones to sort of push the envelope with their boosters.
And they are honestly some of the most perfect opportunities that are possible because they're a lot of their Starlink payloads, especially here on the east coast of Florida, are among the heaviest payloads that Falcon 9 can carry while still being able to recover the first stage downrange with a drone ship recovery. So it serves as a great mission template to gather more data on Falcon 9 if they want to try something new with the flight profile or if they change something with the engines. That's actually how they managed to change the booster recovery for crew missions from a downrange drone ship recovery to then bringing the booster back to LZ1 or 2. No, sorry, or LZ1 or 2, and now obviously back to LZ40 at pad 40 for an onshore booster recovery. But it's just by extracting just that much more performance out of the Falcon 9 booster and the Merlin 1D engines that power it in particular. So but again, as we have said before, this mission, we are well into unknown territory with Falcon 9 now having flown 34 times up to this point, and 1067 is the current fleet leader of all Falcon 9 first stage boosters. So it's going to be quite exciting to see what happens, but hopefully it's going to be not as exciting as we hope, obviously, for mission success with Falcon, and hopefully the booster gets to where it needs to go and deliver the upper stage to where it needs to go. Okay, I'm gonna hit some questions really quickly while we can. About 40, just under 45 minutes left until the launch window opening. Here from Space Enthusiast asking, will there be a jellyfish this morning? Now, the window here this morning is about 4 hours long. It opens at around, well, gosh, what is it? I think it's
7.
Oh gosh. Appropriate, right? The booster 1067 for this morning's mission, the window opens at 6:07. Perfect. But the window's 4 hours long. But D, we're in pretty close proximity right now, or the current T0 is to sunrise. So how do you think that will affect our downrange visibility in terms of a potential jellyfish?
Yeah, so I mean, we've seen jellyfish on a very wide range of time scales. I think the more ideal time would be because the targeted T0 here is 6:13 a.m. And 50 seconds local time. So while that's where they're targeting, and it's like 15-ish minutes ahead of sunrise. If it were another 15 minutes earlier, I think it'd be an absolutely spectacular jellyfish. But I think we're still going to get a very nice jellyfish because as long as the sun is low on the horizon, it still will illuminate the gases in the upper atmosphere so much more than it illuminates the rocket and anything on the ground. So I think we are still going to get a spectacular jellyfish this morning if this current T0 does hold.
Yeah, I mean, I was genuinely surprised at last week's mission because that launched literally 2 minutes after sunrise, and because of some cloud cover on the horizon, we still couldn't see the sun yet. But because that part, or the as you looked up at about 45 degrees up into the sky from this perspective, um, it was still pretty dark. And as Falcon 9 ascended into into its ascent corridor, the sun's rays still lit up the exhaust pretty well, and we still got a decent jellyfish out of it. So pleasantly surprised, and I would imagine that effect will be even more emphasized today because it'll be a bit darker than it was for last week's mission. So not too late, certainly not ideal conditions for a strong jelly this morning. But it will still be beautiful nonetheless, because actually that's a great transition here to talking about the weather, D, because we haven't covered that yet. We have great visibility out here right now, don't we?
It is totally clear skies here. Now, looking at the actual weather forecast from the 45th Weather Squadron, they do have a concern of potentially of the thick cloud layers rule, but that is a 10% probability of violation increasing to a 25% by the end of the window, and the window stretches until 10:07 a.m. So that 10%, that 25%, that is really not a huge concern to be worried about. And looking out, we've got some very, very distant clouds right above the horizon, but we have stars in the sky still. And of course, we're getting some brilliant colors as the sun nears the horizon this morning.
Yeah, so I think visually it's about as good as it can get. I mean, the skies are very clear right now, but the atmosphere right now we can feel it, or we can almost taste it. There is so much moisture in the atmosphere this morning. Like it's muggy, it's humid, but that's a typical morning here in Central Florida, especially come the June and as we progress further into summer. Because the weather here has been very warm here the past month and a half or so, probably closer to 2. But as we progress further into June and July and August and the dog days of summer, that's when it gets really hot and really humid. But this is typically the most stable time of day for weather, so it obviously makes the most ideal time to try and launch. And obviously, the weather forecast today from the 45th Weather Squadron reflects that very well. And a 90% chance of favorable weather at window opening is a very good sign. So hopefully that continues. Going to hit some support here really quickly from Toby becoming a Pad Ret member. Thank you very much, Toby. And also from Cotton Marrow also becoming a Pad Ret member. Thank you very much, everybody. That means a lot to us. Okay, back to some more questions while we can. Just about 40 minutes left until the current slotted T0 of 6:13 a.m. local time. Okay, so this addresses an issue that we saw in the last Starlink mission last week from here. From Ufer asking, with the last booster getting a stuck grid fin, do we think this issue is specific to that booster and not requiring a stand down from launches, or could this be a not booster specific issue? From what we saw, the grid fin locking up occurred at a very low altitude and also at a low enough speed to where the grid fins weren't actually having that much control authority over the booster because of how little airflow was coming through them, given its already low speed and almost approaching the deck of the drone ship of a Shortfall Gravitas. So. And also, when the booster came back into Port Canaveral for recovery, the grid fins were still extended outwards, and that one locked grid fin was very obvious because it was crooked. It was very crooked compared to the others. So it's certainly not something you like to see, especially with a booster as new-ish as this one is. I mean, that was booster, I think it was B1090, if memory serves correctly. I can't read that on screen for some reason. The text is too small. Standby caller. Actually, I want to make sure I get this right. So June 4th, that was booster 1090. So 1090, and that was only its 14th flight. So not exactly old by any means. Like that's like middle age for a Falcon 9 Block 5 first stage booster. But also, mind you, those grid fins are powered hydraulically, and the hydraulic fluid they use is the RP1 that they also used to power the Merlin 1D engines and get the booster to where it needs to go above the Kármán line, and then deploy, obviously, or send the upper stage to where it needs to go. So I don't know what exactly would cause it to lock up like that, because from what we could see, the other 3 grid fins were still working just fine, because they were still moving. But obviously, again, it was moving at a low enough speed to where it locking up really didn't have that much effect, and they could counteract whatever effects it would have by just the TVC or thrust vector control of that one center Merlin engine during the landing burn. So not something you want to see regardless, but I don't think it was that big of an issue to cause a huge stand down, and it sounds like that is a booster specific problem. I don't know if booster B1090 is problematic in its nature. If it's like one of the least favorable in the Falcon 9 fleet, I'll have to try and ask some people if that's the case. But yeah, you can see on the right hand side of your screen there, or the right hand side of the onboard feed there, that one Griffin is just locked up completely. But as you can see, again, this is right before it touched down on the deck of a Shortfall Gravitas, so no real major effects there had from the booster locking up, thankfully. Now, if that happened higher up towards, like even during the first parts of the landing burn or before the landing burn, that probably would have led to some more difficulties in making sure the booster could come down in a more controlled manner. And thankfully, it didn't happen at a higher speed or higher velocity. But alas, she came home, and she's still in one piece and will likely fly again. Or I shouldn't say it's guaranteed to fly again, but it probably will.
It's also worth considering that we don't know the exact sort of maintenance schedules that they could have on these boosters. So if they are doing certain sorts of repairs every 15 flights and maybe some components in the grid fins were scheduled for whether it's additional inspections or repairs within a flight or two of that point, even though we have significantly older boosters as we're seeing today here flying, that doesn't mean that individual components on that booster perhaps hadn't seen a large number of flights, weren't shortly due for inspection replacement. Who knows exactly what that could be? But I don't think just because it is a younger booster, we should write off the chance that it is just wear from age on one component or another.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assumption there. So, hopefully SpaceX gets that worked out by its next flight. I would assume they will. I mean, I think it's not a minor issue. That's like a grid fin locking up is certainly not a good thing. I think they got lucky in where it locked up. But alas, I think that booster is going to be okay, and we should hopefully see it flying again in roughly, I guess, based on average time zones or average time spans, probably 70 to 80 days from now. Now, D, we passed a milestone about 3 minutes ago, directly related. Wow, goodness gracious! Put my teeth back in. Directly relating to a moment that we just crossed at the T minus 35-minute marker. What was that?
Yeah, so at T minus 38 minutes, that is when the launch director should verify that they are go for propellant load. And then once we hit the 35-minute mark, that will be the start of propellant loading on the first and second stage. So they start off with the first stage RP1 and locks, and just RP1 for the second stage. Um, and so hopefully as things start to cool down here, we will know for sure that propellant loading is happening as we see that frost forming on the booster. And of course, once they start propellant loading, they are locked into this T0. They can't shift around due to the cryogenic nature of their propellants. Now, as we continue through the count, they're going to start locks chill down, which will, of course, lead to the T minus 20-minute event at T minus 20 minutes and 20 seconds. That will be our large plume of vapor as they sort of prepare the infrastructure for loading locks onto the second stage. And that'll begin at T minus 16 minutes. As they get closer and closer, they'll start engine chill at T minus 7 minutes, strong back retract start at T minus 5. And within the last few minutes, they'll complete their locks loading, bring the propellant tanks up to pressurization, bring Falcon 9 into startup. And of course, as we get closer and closer, we'll eventually see that all important liftoff.
And indeed, we hope that is the case in about T minus 33 minutes and change from now. If all is going well and they are into prop load at this moment, we should see frost begin to form on the bottom of the first stage liquid oxygen tank in probably the next couple of minutes here. We can't see the bottom of the RP1 tank from this perspective because of that pesky shrubbery that blocks our view to pad 40 from the KSC press site over here. But thankfully, we have a good view towards the bottom of the first stage locks tank. And when the frost begins to form, it is going to be pretty obvious, folks, especially with how humid it is today. There's going to be a lot of bright white frost all over Falcon 9 today, blocking out all of that dirty soot. So fingers crossed we get our first visual confirmation of that hopefully in maybe 90-ish seconds from now, because Falcon 9 does fill pretty quickly for the kind of rocket it is, although not as fast as Starship does for its size, which is nuts already to think about. But Falcon 9 is a lot older of a rocket now, and the Block 5 variant debuted back in 2018, not long after Falcon Heavy made its demo flight in February of 2018. So Block 5 is a well-proven rocket to this point. Now over 100 of the Falcon 9 first stage boosters produced, and a majority of those being Block 5 variants. I think we're at oh goodness. If memory serves, I think we are on B1103 or 4 today. Maybe somebody in the back channel who follows our feeds from McGregor more closely will have a better answer to that. But I want to say we are now well into the B1100s now, which is kind of wild. But alas, Falcon 9 first stage production will carry on, at least for a little bit, even though the launch cadence is currently coming down. That being said, though, like we've seen, I think so in the back channel we're being told B1106 is the current booster that is at McGregor, and I want to say that's also the highest serial number Falcon 9 booster that we have seen so far. And also we have seen, I think, 2 Falcon Heavy center cores roll by our cameras in over there as well in the last like 2 or 3 weeks. And that's kind of important, D, because we have, I think, 2 or 3 Falcon Heavy missions coming up in just a couple of months.
Yeah. We've got a number of missions here coming up, and with 39A focused more on Falcon Heavies, that will be an exciting one to see.
And I think if we want to get specific, we have, I believe, first up is a mission for the National Reconnaissance Office first. I think scheduled for the August-ish time frame. We'll have to wait and see on official word for that. But also the launch of the Nancy Grace Roman Telescope, which has moved left in the manifest again, which is now net August 30th. It was originally, I think, November, and then it moved left to September, and then it moved left. It moved left again to August 30th, as confirmed by the NASA administrator Jared Isaacman. So wonderful thing to see. Below budget and ahead of schedule, and then beyond that we have, oh goodness gracious, why am I'm blanking on the third one and I think it's the October or November time frame. The Griffin, I think, is the Griffin mission 1. With Astrobotic. I think that's the third one. So we have 2 to 3 Falcon Heavies left before the end of the year, assuming all goes well and they don't have any issues with booster production or anything of the sorts. And also, quick little side note: B1106 and B1105 are the 2 Falcon Heavy center cores that we have seen roll by our cameras at the McGregor test site in Central Texas. So interesting to see there. But also, I think, speaking of seeing things, I think I'm seeing a little bit of frost building up on Falcon 9's first stage LOX tank there. Although I'm not seeing that. I think I'm seeing more vapor than I am seeing actual frost, which is kind of strange. Am I seeing things, D? Are you seeing frost?
I'm not certain. It does look like there might be a small ring, and of course there is vapor there visible, but I don't have there's definitely some frost there.
I would sure hope so. I think, and hopefully it'll become more obvious here in the next few minutes. But I want to say we do. I think the frost one is now coming up to the C in the SpaceX logo there, that we can actually see pretty clearly this morning, with the lack of I think there's not that much haze out in the atmosphere I think today, which is a pleasant surprise given how humid it actually is. And the sun is now beginning to come up even higher towards the horizon now, and the sky looking out towards the east is of a more orange color now, especially over Launch Complex 39A. It's always a wonderful thing to see. And again, if Falcon 9 gets off the ground this morning, if at the current T0 of 6:13 a.m. Local time here on the east coast of Florida, we should be treated to a wonderful jellyfish effect. Not as great as it could be if it launched maybe 35 minutes sooner, but it is still going to be a gorgeous one today if it gets off on time. But it looks like they have begun prop load here, and that means that they are currently confirmed towards that 6:13 a.m. T0. Once SpaceX goes into prop load operations on Falcon 9, they do not have the ability to stand down and recycle in that 4-hour window, just due to the nature of the densified propellants aboard the first and second stage. Once they begin loading Falcon 9, they are committed, because that propellant from that point on is going to keep building, or is going to warm up at that point. And when it warms up, it becomes less dense, which means it takes up more space. And the whole point of densified propellants is that they are, as in the name suggests, super densified, meaning that you can fill more of that propellant in the same size of fuel tanks. It takes a lot of work to get both RP1 and especially LOX down to a quote unquote super chilled state, but the benefits are obviously well worth the effort to do that because Falcon 9, I guess the results for itself, the results to this point in its long history now speak for itself. Gonna hit some support here really quickly from Telstar86 gifting 1 Red Team membership. Thank you, Telstar, a name that we see popping up in chat here pretty often. And from ODS2 Moody with a $10 super. Not to take away from this Falcon 9 launch, but may I ask a Starship question? Of course. The January EIS for 39A specifically mentions Starship and Super Heavy landing on drone ships too. Did I miss something? I guess I should also ask, did I miss something? I don't remember seeing drone ship recoveries for Super Heavy. Could that be relating to transport from Starbase? I'm not entirely sure. But apparently, okay, so I'm being told in the back channel that the EIS documents have mentioned that for a while. As far as we know right now, SpaceX has no plans to recover ship or Super Heavy boosters out in the water. Because of course, obviously, Super Heavy boosters do not have landing legs, nor does ship. They are currently only configured to be caught by the chopsticks either at Tower 1 or Tower 2 in Starbase, and the current launch and catch tower at Launch Complex 39A, which hopefully we will see our first launch from by the end of this year. If I had to put my guess on it, it'd be probably sometime in early Q4, maybe like early fall, maybe like late September into October, like late Q3, early Q4, somewhere in there. But that may be a little bit optimistic, but I'm not entirely maybe. I'm not entirely sure. But I guess time will tell. But as to the actual drone ship mentioned there in the document, I'm really not sure. So I'm reading a quote here in the back channel from said document. Include ocean landings of Super Heavy in the Atlantic Ocean and Starship in the Atlantic, Pacific, and Indian Oceans. Starship and Super Heavy could land on floating platforms referred to as drone ships in the ocean. So maybe they're separate barges or drone ships out there with their own set of chopsticks for catching. I don't know. That would be a pretty cool thing to see. Although catching a booster with chopsticks out in either the Gulf or the Atlantic or anywhere else in the world that they may have a launch site may be a bit tough and trickier than usual, especially if the drone ship is bouncing around in the waves and it's not a stationary target. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what actually unfolds there. All right, just under 24 minutes now until the current T0. About 3 minutes now from the next major visual milestone that we should see. But in the meantime, I'm going to hit some more questions here while I have a moment. First from 9-8 Central asking, when the vehicle starts propellant tank pressurization to flight pressure, is that higher than normal pressure to make it structurally rigid? Well, Falcon 9 is already pretty structurally rigid. It's not a balloon tank structure. But that is to obviously make sure that does help structurally, but also in flight, that does help also keep the propellants seated down towards the bottom of the tanks once obviously the engine shut down and there's no other forces pushing the actual propellants down towards the bottoms of the tanks or the sumps as they're also called. If any rocket engine sucks up any air, that would wreak havoc on your turbo pumps and other parts of the engine that would cause your engine to become rapidly unhappy and throw a big temper tantrum and possibly rud itself or have a rapid unscheduled disassembly. There we go. But yes, so that is both a structural thing, but also that is meant obviously to keep the propellants where they need to be in flight, especially once they get towards MECO and SECO, or main engine cutoff and second engine cutoff, which are solid milestones with Falcon 9's launch timeline. D, is that fog towards the bottom of the rocket that we're seeing right now? Because it's kind of getting like darked out maybe a little bit there.
It seems like it. We've got some fog over the water in the distance here as well. So yeah, I mean it is a very, very humid morning. So perhaps as the sun gets closer to the horizon, it will help burn off some of that fog just a little bit. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that is fog in addition to the vapors.
Yeah. Yeah, so this wide feed actually shows it pretty well in that there is some fog over the water in the bottom left of the screen there, and also some fog in the shrubbery off to the left of the rocket there, which is both annoying but also really pretty. Annoying because if that gets anywhere near the cameras, it fogs up the front glass element. It means you have to constantly be wiping the lens if you have no way to keep the lens hot and preventing dew from building up on it. But also, seeing a rocket launch out of the fog is like one of the prettiest things you could possibly ever see. Just,
Uh,
go
this
ahead.
seems like a West Coast, Best Coast comment. Just saying.
Why is that a West Coast, Best Coast comment?
Rocket rising out of the fog.
Yeah, but that also means it will rise out of the fog, but more often than not, that's been happening at night, which you can't really see that well unless you're in the right spot. But also, cameras on the pad can't even see the rocket, as we saw from a recent Vandenberg launch site, Starlink mission. So, just saying, just putting that out there.
Okay, I'm getting threatened in the back channel by Jay Keegan, so I'll stop now.
Oh my God! Speaking of Jay Keegan, did I mention Jay at the opening of the stream? I don't think I did. I did not. I did not. But anyway, I will. I will in a moment here, folks, because we have just crossed the 20-minute and 20-second milestone in the countdown, and as you can see on the right-hand side of the crew access tower there at Pad 40, there is the big vent, or the best vent, as we also call it, happening right now. So at this point in the countdown, SpaceX has wrapped up RP1 load on the second stage, and they are chilling down the propellant lines in the transporter erector in preparation for stage 2 liquid oxygen loading. And this vent will continue for about 3 more minutes. And when we see it stop, which should be at around the T-minus 16.5 second marker, or minute marker, excuse me, that should be our visual indication that stage 2 LOX load is underway. But this vent happening on time is a solid indicator that things are still progressing in the right direction, and the countdown is proceeding as normal today, which is a very good sign. Now, back to that previous point that I made. But behind the scenes, pushing the buttons and pulling the levers for today's live stream, making the stream do live stream things, is the one and only Jay Keegan. So thank you, Jay. I'm sorry I forgot your name in the intro. I didn't forget it last time. I did not forget it last time, but I did today. It's a habit. I guess it's a commentator's curse is forgetting the producer's name to intro in, I guess, the beginning of the stream. Anyway. Countdown progressing now just under 19 minutes into the count. As a reminder, folks, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in chat and tag us at NASA Spaceflight or at NSF, and we will get to your questions as they come. But D, my goodness, the sky is certainly a lot brighter than it was 30 minutes ago, and I think the stage is beginning to set itself for a rather beautiful show this morning.
Absolutely. We've got the yellow and pink lights on the horizon here. Trying to see, yeah, there are no more stars visible in the sky, but we've still got a nice moon out here this morning, and it's only going to get brighter here. And so, it won't be the same sort of stark contrast we sometimes see with jellyfish, where it is just a black sky and illuminated exhaust, but it should be a spectacular contrast still between the exhaust and the sky behind it. Also, I think I do actually see a 1 or 2 stars left in the sky.
I think Saturn was one of the most visible planets, I think, in the last few days. I don't know if it's still out. No, I haven't followed it. I think it might be above our heads by the VAB, at least from my perspective. I'm not sure. But yes, the sky is getting brighter by the minute. But it should still be dark enough to have a jellyfish effect of sorts at the current liftoff time of 6:13 a.m. local, because the sunrise here locally will be 6:25 a.m., so about 12 minutes before sunrise. And as we saw during last week's Starlink mission, which was 2 minutes after sunrise, the sky was still dark enough in the flight corridor from our perspective that there was still a sort of jellyfish effect happening. So I think we will still get a wonderful show here, and the same goes for those who are north and south of the launch site this morning. So if you are in the neighborhood of like New Smyrna Beach or Daytona Beach going up to Jacksonville, going up to the north of the launch site, you should have a wonderful view for this morning's launch. So get out to the beach, go outside and look to your east, depending on where you are. Well, I guess east for everybody, and look outside and admire where Falcon 9 is going. If you are south of the launch site, do not fret. You are still going to have a wonderful view, but unlike the Group 6 shell Starlink missions, Falcon 9 is heading northeast, so it'll be flying away from you. So you'll still have a good view, but you will not have a view of the full arch flying by you as you otherwise would, with it flying either into a geostationary transfer orbit or directly east or southeast, as they obviously would during the Group 6 shell missions, which is very seasonal. But I don't know if we're going to see any more of those. I guess it'll depend on how many more Starlink V2 mini satellite missions SpaceX wants to launch in that constellation. Oh dear, a cruise ship coming into Port Canaveral, right by the Jetty Park Pier. D, why does this give us a bit of a
It's fine.
PTSD?
We're not on the pier. It's fine. Everything is fine.
Jade
It
has had
won't block our view of the launch with like seconds after liftoff because we aren't there. The cruise ships can't reach us here. They can't hurt us here. Sorry, that's a New Glenn. We got slightly burned by and the entirety of Jetty Park Pier
Oh,
got
yeah.
slightly burned by a cruise ship during NG2,
Yes.
where it just rolled by at the perfectly wrong time, right after liftoff.
Like, I don't think that could have been timed. I almost said timed better, but timed worse because, like, thankfully we had Falcon as it cleared Falcon. Wow, my goodness, it's early. Thankfully, we had New Glenn pretty much all the way up until it cleared the towers over there at Pad 36, and that's when the nose of the cruise ship began to penetrate our view and block the entirety of it until New Glenn had risen farther into the sky. So, yeah, and I think it was this very boat. I think that is Carnival Vista. No, Carnival something. Carnival. I have to check marine traffic real quick. Hang on. Now I'm curious. Stand by, everybody. I'm checking marine traffic. Insert elevator waiting music. Carnival Glory. Okay, so I think it was Carnival Vista that blocked our view. Or no, I'm sorry. That was Carnival Freedom that blocked our view way back in November. Golly, how time flies, huh? I'm gonna do a bit of backseat producing here really quickly. Jay, if we can point a camera over at LC39, there is some pretty wicked like red clouds appearing behind the pad as the sun continues to rise in some light. Yeah, look at that. Oh, look at that. That's so pretty. Oh yeah. Like these are like obviously the sun is still well below the horizon from our perspective, but just based on the altitude of those clouds, they are being hit by sunlight right now, and from our perspective, they are glowing a nice red color, which is very, very, very pretty. It's almost like the sky's on fire. Just over 13 minutes left until the current T0 for Falcon 9 and the Starlink 10-35 mission now this morning, folks. Gonna hit a couple of more questions while we have some time. Let's see here. Actually, I'll come back to this one. So another one from ODS2 Moody. When SpaceX transitions to their Starlink Fleet 2 version 3, what kind of pacing do you think we could expect from Falcon 9 launches? Do you think they will make new payload adapters to supplement the service? Well, D, as far as we are aware, Starlink version 3 satellites can only be launched on Starship because of their size and weight.
Yeah, I mean, as far as we know, that's the only plan here. Like V2 satellites were initially planned for Starship, and that's why when we refer to these Starlink satellites launching on Falcon 9 here, they're the V2 minis because V2 was planned to be the sort of Starship focused satellite, and then
Yep.
with Starship delays, they adjusted it and they made it they made a version of V2 that worked with Falcon 9, and now it'll be sort of V3 sounds like it'll be the one that actually goes and launches with uh and launches with Starship, but whether or not it makes sense for SpaceX to do any sort of Falcon 9 version of the satellites, I'd be doubtful at this point with,
Yeah.
I don't know, just the way that they're already working on a slight ramp down of cadence and ramping up Starship's cadence. I'd be doubtful that they do any sort of version for Falcon 9 launches.
Yeah.
I think it's more likely we'd see like maybe continued occasional launches of V2 Mini or direct to cell, or like the occasional Falcon 9 launch to help slot in where needed. But I think we're going to see the Starlink missions on Falcon 9 significantly drop off here.
And in a way, we already are, because we've become used to the fact that Falcon 9 used to fly on average every 2 to 4 days, barring the couple, or I think it was the 2 or 3 stand downs they had from some really freak anomalies over the past couple of years. But yeah, Falcon cadence is already wrapping down because they have just recently retired their drone ship, Just Read the Instructions, one of their originals from Falcon 9 service, and is beginning to transition it into Starship service via transporting ships and boosters and other hardware from Starbase to Florida, as initial Starbase or Starship operations from Florida will require that, because they have no other way of building Starship here in Florida right now, at least until Star Factory 2.0 is up and running, which at this point it is not. But Giga Bay here in Florida is at its full height pretty much. I'm looking behind me right now on top of the hut, and it is at its full height. Its frame is basically complete, and they are finishing up the exterior cladding on it right now. And it is at its full size, and it's maybe 3/4 the size or 2/3 the size of the VAB, so it is a gargantuan facility. But speaking of Starship, folks, we still have some merch in our shop from the recent launch of Starship Flight 12. I think we still have some patches left, don't we? I think we do. Jay, help me out here. I think we still have some more. Well, it's still on our site, so we must have some more left. So we have our Starship Flight 12 patch there. As you can see, our team is very, very proud of this one, and we are very happy with this design, and hopefully you guys are as well. Around 10% of the batch are still remaining, and once they are gone, they are gone. And this patch commemorates the first flight of a version 3 Starship, the brand new launch mount, and also on the right-hand side of the patch there being the Pad 1 Pad 1 over there, kind of demonstrating where Starship has come in from the first 11 flights up into Flight 12. So on top of the patches, we also have some prints in our shop from that very version 3 launch, some of which from me, and also some from Tyler Gray, one of our other photographers as well, banging out some really good stuff from Flight 12. That was a pretty one, and they are all available on our shop at shop.nasaspaceflight.com. Feel free to check them out for yourself, and maybe grab one for your wall as well. And one of the cool parts about our prints is that a portion of the sale goes to the photographer who took the photo. So a wonderful way to support us here at NSF as a company, and for the individuals involved with that individual art. So that's a great shot, Tyler. I'm kind of mad I didn't have a camera at this angle. I know I should have. But next flight, hopefully. All right, folks, we are now approaching the T-minus 8-minute milestone until the launch of the Starlink 10-35 mission. Seeing some more people coming up in chat and in the stream. Chat, I want to wake you guys up for a second here. Where are y'all from? I want to see where everyone's watching from this morning. I want to see. I'll give you guys a few seconds here. Let's see here. Where's everyone watching from? Ooh. Here we go. Here it comes. Australia, Maryland, Taiwan, Fort Myers, Belgium, Montana, UK, Lakeland, Florida, Scotland. Oh my gosh, guys. Wow. Y'all are all over the place. That's so cool. Greece, Birmingham, Alabama, Poland, Alaska, Norway, Minnesota. Yeah, wow. Holy crap. You guys are all over the place. Good grief. I know. Sorry, mods. I'm being yelled at now because chat's going crazy. Oh my gosh. Y'all are the best. And you guys are the reason why we're able to keep coming back and giving y'all the best coverage that we possibly can. So you guys watching from all over gives us it warms our hearts dearly. Thank you so much, everybody. We greatly appreciate your enduring support. And hopefully we have a lot more to come in the near future. Gosh, y'all are still going. Holy cow. Nice. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. I know I don't mean to act surprised, y'all, but it is just it warms my heart to see just from such a wide spread of of people watching from all over the place. I don't know why. It's just it hits every single time. I mean, it means a lot to everyone here. Okay, D, let me know when I need to send you off to do camera things because we are getting pretty close to a liftoff now.
Yep, I'm already doing some camera things, so I think I will see you on the other side of this.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, D. All right, folks, coming up on the T-minus I almost said 6-minute milestone in the countdown. And at this point, we should be well into engine chill of the 9 Merlin 1D engines on Falcon 9's first stage. And that is a very important step in the process, similar to what we saw with the T-minus 20-minute, 20-second vent from the transporter erector, in that they want to make sure that the turbo pumps, the engine bells, and all components coming into contact with the super chill propellant are down to their desired temperatures to avoid thermal shock and any damage to the engine as a result. So should be well underway into that right now. Coming up on some other milestones with the transporter erector clamps opening, and then the transporter erector coming back a few degrees before throwing itself back at T0 to get out of the way. Hopefully we have some views of the pad at that time as well. But nonetheless, the countdown is continuing, now approaching the T-minus 5-minute milestone. Oh, look at this. A view from the very top of the crew access tower there at pad 40. The sun almost about to rise there over the Atlantic Ocean, and you can see the landing zone over there, and on the left-hand side of your screen, LZ40 over there. Some venting from the transporter erector and also the tank structure as well of Falcon 9. It's always a pretty sight to see there. Wonderful. And also expect some delay between SpaceX's stream and ours, just given the nature of how they are being delivered, and of course also just being over the internet. So our stream will be a few seconds ahead at least, so keep that in mind as well. But I will also do my best to listen out for SpaceX comms callouts here in the next few minutes as we approach vehicle prop low closeouts and pressurizations, and of course those clamps opening up below the payload fairings and the transporter erector being thrown back by a few degrees. I want to say we are approaching, so strongback retrack should be happening at any moment now. We just passed that point in the countdown there at the bottom of your screen. Waiting for and there they go. The clamps have opened up on supporting Falcon 9's second stage there at the very top, just below the payload fairings. Those clamps have opened up and are about to throw back by a few degrees. It's subtle at first, but obviously the transporter erector will throw itself back about 45 degrees or more once the vehicle reaches T0. Now approaching T-minus 3.5 minutes left until liftoff. The sky continuing to get brighter and brighter by the minute here. It is a glorious morning here at the Kennedy Space Center, looking over towards the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station and Space Launch Complex 40, where Falcon 9 will be launching from today. Well, hopefully in just over 3 minutes time. Still listening for some comms callouts. Not sure if we have those live or pumped into our stream, but if I don't want to talk over them if we do. So apologies for any small silences there.
Stage 1.
We do. I'm being told from Jay we do. Fantastic. Falcon 9 looking glorious as ever. I did not hear that, Jay. I did not hear any callouts there. I do apologize. I'm being asked in the back channel. That is that's a wonderful view. Now approaching T-minus 2.5 minutes left in the countdown. Falcon 9 at this point will have wrapped up propellant load on both the first and second stages and should begin pressurization on both stages as well in preparation for flight. And a byproduct of it being so humid this morning is just how much vapor is sticking around the rocket today. There isn't as much frost as I thought there would be, I think, granted, on the first stage tank structure to this point, but there is certainly a lot of residual vapor hanging around as well, which, in my opinion, is equally as pretty.
Stage
That's
2,
just me,
LOX load is complete.
Now, under 2 minutes left until T0, approaching the 90-second milestone. Stage 2 lock slow complete call out there, as you probably heard. So wonderful. So now Falcon 9 should be well into, or should be past prop load closing out on both first and second stages. T-minus 90 seconds. Mark.
Ground gas closets.
Be coming up on the T-minus 60-second marker, which is where Falcon 9 will enter startup or internal power. And from that point on, we should hear also a call out from SpaceX's launch director as well. T-minus 1 minute.
Falcon 9 has entered startup.
There we go. Good call out there. Falcon 9 is now in startup and on internal power. Should hear a go for launch from the launch director here in just a few seconds.
Launch director, go for launch.
LD is go for launch, everybody. It is going to be a good morning here at the Cape. Now just over 30 seconds left until T0. And as a reminder, once Falcon 9 clears the pad, I will go quiet, and so you guys can enjoy the wonderful sounds from all 9 Merlin engines during liftoff and descent. T-minus 20 seconds. 15. 10. 9. 8. 7. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition. And we have liftoff. Go Falcon, go Starlink. Now T plus 90 seconds into flight. Falcon 9 should be well into supersonic territory and approaching max Q at this point, or the point in flight of maximum aerodynamic stress on the vehicle. Falcon 9 and booster B1067 on its 35th flight, ascending directly into the sunlight this morning. And the exhaust from all 9 Merlin 1D engines beginning to expand as the atmospheric pressure around said engines begins to decrease and the plume will expand and change color. Look at that already. Oh my goodness. Getting a great track here from D, and you can already see the light glowing. I'm just looking up now at it, and the exhaust plume trailing the first stage right now is glowing white because that is the sunlight directly hitting the exhaust trail from all 9 Merlin 1Ds. There's that jellyfish. Now just wait until stage 2. It's going to be even better, folks. Should be coming up on MECO or main engine cutoff here the first stage. Literally now. Good timing there. Now should be approaching stage separation. And there is ignition of the MVAC engine on Falcon 9's upper stage. Look at that. Look at this. You can, wow, in the plume, that's the Falcon 9 first stage and its RCS thrusters puffing away as it reorients itself to get ready to come back into the atmosphere. Oh my goodness gracious. Yes. And that is one of the greatest benefits of an early morning or a late night flight when there is still some residual sunlight around, is that you can see details like this that you would otherwise miss during a late night mission or a full daytime mission. Then there are the fairing halves actually there as well, surrounding both the top and the bottom of Falcon 9's second stage, and the first stage still puffing away there with the RCS thrusters. Oh my goodness, that is what a view! What a view that is! Never gets old, folks. As cliche as it sounds, and I promise you, I understand how cliche it may sound sometimes. Being here in person and seeing it with your own eyeballs is one of the prettiest things. Now, almost 4 minutes into flight, Falcon 9's second stage hurling itself downrange, and Falcon 9's first stage, 1067 on its 35th flight, should have reoriented itself and deployed its grid fins in preparation for atmospheric reentry here in a few minutes. Look at this. We still have it. D still has both. Stage 2 and the first stage. Look at this. Oh my goodness gracious. D, if you're listening, this is a phenomenal track. Look at this. I'm borderline speechless, y'all. I'm giddy, especially with launches that are this pretty. You know, we've been spoiled enough to see a lot of these to this point, but I promise you, the magic never wears off. Still, Falcon 9's second stage is now just a tiny dot in the sky. It can still barely make it out against the sky now. But at this point in flight, Falcon 9's first stage should be completely turned around 180 degrees, now past its apogee or its highest point in flight, and should be coming down, as you can see there, by the altitude now decreasing, and it should be getting ready for its stage 1 entry burn here in just a couple of minutes. And mind you, the stage 1 entry burn is set up to prevent the Falcon 9's or to prevent Falcon 9's first stage from undergoing too extreme of loads during atmospheric reentry by firing up to 3 of its 9 Merlin 1D engines to sort of fight fire with fire, as we do like to say. It'll be slowing itself down just enough while also using the exhaust from the Merlins as a sort of force field against the atmosphere. Grid fins now fully deployed, as we would hope to see. RCS thrusters still puffing away as the grid fins have nothing to react with as of yet, being still above the atmosphere at this point, now 80 kilometers in altitude and dropping. Coming up on atmospheric reentry here in just a moment. Should be a 131 ignition profile. There we have it. There's one engine visible on stream. And up to 3 engines there with the exhaust plume changing shape there in that more linear design. Shutting off some serious speed here and deceleration. Should be coming up. There we go. Back down to 1 engine. And we have entry burn shutdown. Now, as Falcon 9 begins to descend into the thicker parts of the atmosphere, you will begin to see those grid fins moving more and more to help control the Falcon 9 first stage booster as it begins to approach the drone ship, a Shortfall of Gravitas. Altitude now plummeting, and also so is the speed now descending into the atmospheric gases of Earth's atmosphere again, shedding off speed rapidly. 4,500 kilometers an hour and dropping fast. Now 4,000 already. That is some serious deceleration. Now rapidly approaching the cloud layer here. Should be coming up on landing burn here in just a few seconds. It's perfectly normal to lose feed here just for a few moments. And there we go. We have it back. But to punch through the cloud layer, look at this. Oh, nice. Look at the vapor. Look at the vapor. Oh, marvelous. Here we go. Should be coming up on a landing burn startup here in just a moment. There's the engine graphic, and we have graphic indication.
Stage 2 terminal guidance.
And stage 1 landing burn is underway with that single Merlin 1D engine in the middle there. Should be approaching the drone ship, a Shortfall of Gravitas, in just a few seconds. Grid fins working away. There we go. There's the view from the drone ship there on the right-hand side of your screen.
Landing leg deploy.
Stage 1 landing leg deploy. And touchdown. Booster B1067 completing its 35th flight to date.
Confirmed.
A new record set for Falcon 9's first stage fleet, both in Florida and on the west coast of California. Love to see it. Falcon 9's second stage now continuing to accelerate towards its first targeted parking orbit. Goodness gracious! Before its
Impact
second
shutdown.
engine stop. Literally right now. SECO second engine cutoff number 1, which just happened, as now the MVAC engine now beginning to lose its glow from its radiative
Nominal orbit
nozzle
insertion.
extension there. There we go. We have a call for nominal orbital insertion. Wonderful. As we lose views from SpaceX's feed there, we turn our attention back to Space Launch Complex 40, where D is going to be working on a slow-mo replay, and also we have other replays in work from Jay Keegan there in the back channel. So hopefully we have some replays coming up in just a few minutes. In the meantime, I'm going to be going through some support and questions, while I have a moment. From Matthew, becoming a launch director member. Dude, that's awesome. Thank you so much for that. And also the KD80 becoming with a $2 super chat coming in with a comment. Just want to say I love this channel. We love you too, dude. Thank you very much for watching. Especially not quite sure where you are in the world, but thank you very much for watching. It's very early for us. It might not be for you, but it is for us. But thank you very much for watching this morning, as it means a lot to us all on the team. All right. Let me get some questions here queued up, because you guys have some really good ones now. Okay. 1, 2. Okay, gonna pull this one here from the edge of elevation. What happened to the short engine nozzle on the upper stage? And I assume you are referring to the MVAC stubby nozzle that there is quite the fan club for here on the team. So the shorter MVAC MVAC nozzle on the upper stage flies only under certain mission criteria, because the main benefits of that shorter nozzle are lower cost, easier to produce, and also it weighs less than the standard full-size MVAC or Merlin vacuum engine nozzle size. It's quite large compared to the sea-level engine bells on the first stage. But one of the disadvantages of a shorter nozzle like that on a vacuum optimized engine is you lose a bit of performance with that shorter nozzle. So the whole idea of a vacuum nozzle extension on an engine that's obviously meant to fire in the vacuum of space is it keeps the exhaust coordinated enough out of the combustion chamber and keeping pressure sufficient to produce sufficient thrust past a certain point. Ideally, your vacuum optimized nozzle extension would be infinitely long, but obviously there comes a point where weight, or the trade-off between weight and performance, does not exactly meet. So ideally, you want that nozzle to be as long as possible while also meeting your weight requirements. So we haven't actually seen it in an MVAC stubby nozzle fly in quite some time. I do have to say, I cannot recall the last time we saw one, either from Vandenberg or here. Go ahead, D.
It almost seems as if they've moved away from it, because it had certain advantages in less material and potentially less manufacturing time, but it meant they had to manufacture stages that could only support certain missions and couldn't support others, where they couldn't just swap around second stages willy-nilly. So it might not have been worth it, because of course that also impacts the second stage performance. So as much as I love stubby nozzle, it might I don't know if we'll see it again.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. It didn't even cross my mind that they may have gone away from that. I hope they go back to it at some point, but they need very specific mission criteria to be able to afford to use that. So maybe it's just not worth it in the long run, or maybe they've deemed it so. D. That's actually a very good point to bring up. Also, a good question here from Gabriel GG. Are morning launches more common in the summertime for Starlink missions? It does seem to be that way. And it makes a lot of sense, especially from a weather standpoint, because in the summertime here in Central Florida, the weather can be quite volatile in the afternoon. And we have a saying here in summertime that we get almost daily rain showers between the hours of like 3 and 6 p.m. here in Central Florida. I think it's even more common in South Florida. But the weather is a lot more volatile in the afternoon because of the much higher temperatures. So as a result of that, or because of that, the weather is a lot calmer in the morning because of the cooler temperatures, with obviously the sun not being up yet. So it's a lot. You have a lot better of a chance to launch in a morning window, but certain missions and certain payloads, depending on where they need to go, cannot launch at these times. But for Starlinks in particular, and the Group 10 shell, I would imagine we're going to see a lot more of these early morning missions for the Group 10 shell. But just from a more general standpoint, the weather again is much more stable in the morning and is a lot more ideal to try and fly in. But if you have a mission launching to the International Space Station, for example, and you have a T0 of like 5:30 p.m., obviously the launch window there is instantaneous. Either you go at that time or you don't go that day at all. And with every single day, your T0 slips left by about 22 or 23 minutes, somewhere in there. So yeah, there are obviously certain times of days where certain times of day where it's a lot more difficult to try and fly compared to others. But morning is one of the most ideal times to try and fly. So I would expect us to be seeing a lot more of these Group 10 missions in the morning. We are still working on some replays here, folks. So stick around for those in just a few minutes. D is also working on I presume a wonderful slow-mo as well.
I am doing my best. And I did hear you during the track, Max, and I greatly appreciate the compliment.
Yeah, no, dude, it looked great. And the fact that you were able to see both stage 2, stage 1 with its RCS puffs, and also both fairing halves as well, is just like a cherry on top. I mean, that's one of the great benefits of these missions around sunrise or sunset, is you get just enough brightness in the sky to see that, but it's also just, again, dark enough to see that with the exhaust and the vehicle being in sunlight against a darker sky by comparison. So it's such a visual treat to see that, and that's one of the great benefits of mornings or of morning windows like this. As annoying as they can be sometimes to either wake up for or stay up all night for, as we sometimes do, because waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning to come out here is not the most pleasant experience, I do have to say sometimes. But we do it because we love it. Hearing a lot of birds chatter. Ooh, replays. Yes, finally got some replays going. This is from Fleet Cam number 1 there. Based in Port Canaveral at Rusty's in the Port. It's a wonderful restaurant there based in Port Canaveral. If you're ever in town, either as a tourist or if you're a local in the area, please feel free to stop by there and check them out. Their food is wonderful, and it is just a great place to be by the water and check out Falcon 9. Falcon 9 is coming back into port, and also to see cruise ships come in and out if you time your trip there correctly. It's like its own little sunrise ascending there into the sky. It's just dark enough to see some still enough contrast there to make it out being just bright enough. Wonderful view there from I almost said Massey's. It's not Massey's, it's Rusty. It's Rusty's. And I believe this is from Fleet Cam number 2. Where's this one coming up? Oh, it's coming up from over the crane there from either, I think that's Bob or Doug. I think it's Bob over there based in Port Canaveral next to Just Read the Instructions. Look at that. Beautiful. That is Bob. I'm being told in the back channel. Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody. It's such a look at that. The water is just it's not quite like glass, but it is super calm this morning. And just seeing a Falcon 9 soar in this sunrise light is just beautiful. Now onto our robotic cameras based here at the Kennedy Space Center press site. Falcon 9 climbing up over the trees there. Wow. Falcon 9 flying in cotton candy skies. Like what more could you possibly want there? Absolutely beautiful. And one of the other cameras here in a similar location, just from a much wider perspective there, and you can get a much better idea of the cotton candy skies that graced us, graciously graced us. Is that a proper way to say it? I don't know, but I'm saying it anyway. To have graced us this morning with these wonderful and just gorgeous skies. And there it is once again climbing up and over the tree line. As Bruce Almighty once said, beautiful. Folks, it really never does get old. If you're in town, or if you're thinking about coming to town to try and catch a launch, or if you have the opportunity to try and come see one here on the Space Coast of Florida, by all means, you will not regret it. They can be a bit trickier to catch sometimes, depending on the mission that you were trying to see. But Starlinks tend to be the most reliable to see for those who are coming to town. But the best place to keep track of info regarding launches coming up is our very own app and website at Next Spaceflight, as we have info for not just launches here in the U.S., but from all over the world happening in real time. As we have a wonderful liftoff still here from our very own Jerry Pike. He was on site this morning. I think that's Dean in the foreground there. Look at this. Yeah. It just like Falcon 9 silhouette against a very colorful cloud there, and a almost royal blue sky. Yeah. Golden hour, and also and here's the pseudo jellyfish effect that we were talking about. It isn't quite as pronounced or as contrasty as it would have been if it launched about 35 minutes sooner, but alas, obviously, it was still incredibly beautiful today. And the fact that we were able to see and track Falcon 9's second stage and the fairings and the booster downrange for so long is just a testament to how good the visibility actually was. I'm seeing some of you guys talking about the weather here this morning. Yeah, it's very humid. It's very moist. There is a lot of moisture on the KSC press site lawn as I'm looking over towards D right now. Yeah, a lot of moisture on the grass right now, but that is just typical summertime mornings here in Central Florida. Look at this. This is a photo of the plume from D here. And you can see
that was just
Go
a
ahead.
cell phone snap there. I finished tracking. It became very hard to see the second stage after a while, and I tried to see if I could catch a reentry burn. Once I didn't have a track anymore, I just looked up and we had the brilliant illumination on the vapor left behind. And you know what? We've still got some of that vapor up overhead and sort of spiral. So I'm going to take another picture and send that now.
Yeah, please do. Oh yeah, it's almost over the moon. Look at this. Jay, I know I'm gonna backseat.
I'm trying to line it up. There's a circle, and
Yes.
that circle is about to pass in front of the moon right now.
Yes, Jay, can we get like KSCO4 on it or something? I'm so sorry. I know Jay. Oh gosh, I know Jay loves backseat producing. He absolutely loves it. It's his favorite thing. Oh my goodness gracious! It's just a wonderful morning here. Yep. Oh, D just sent a photo in the back channel. I want to see it. I want to see it. Yeah, we have about a half moon over our heads right now. It's a waning. It will become a waning crescent here in just a day or two, but as we have passed the full moon cycle this month. Yeah, look at this, man. What a place to be, what a time to be alive, folks. As you know, questionable as modern times can be, given everything that's happening in the world, there are always positives to go look at and appreciate. And mornings like this are certainly those. And as we can see, yes, look at this. J has KCO4 on it. So that like circular cloud that you are seeing there in the middle of your frame is sort of the contrail, the leftover exhaust turning. So once Falcon 9 ascends to a certain point in the atmosphere, it leaves a contrail behind it. And what you are seeing now is the remnants of that contrail, I guess, spiraling in the atmospheric disturbance and the wind up there, now about to pass in front of the moon. Look at this. Oh, yeah. It's like that one meme. Would you just look at it? That's a borderline bullseye from my perspective here in the chair. And mind you, the camera that is currently looking at this is like 4 feet in front of me. Oh yeah. Look at this. You know what? I'm actually taking my phone out right now and trying to grab a photo of this myself because, why not? I have nothing on my phone from this morning. I've been busy chatting and talking with y'all all morning, so it's a good excuse. Yes. Look at this. Wonderful. I know. Now we've transitioned from rocket watching to cloud watching. Cloud and moon watching, folks. And also bird watching, I guess. I mean, there's some birds crackling away behind me. This is great. This is a great time. Yes, and it is better to be cloud watching after a launch, or better, also preferably after a successful static fire as well. Just saying. I kid. Oh, so I think we're getting some more cameras on it now for you here, folks. This is, I know, like we're such geeks and nerds, man. Like this is the stuff that we just we cannot get enough of. As the sun has now risen well above the horizon now, and it's like shining right in my face, and the light off the water in the turn basin is like right in my face, and it's quite blinding. But yeah, look at this. Just finding a greater appreciation for just the random things of beauty that you find in the world nowadays. Yeah, after watching a rocket launch, we turn all of our cameras toward the moon, toward the sky to watch clouds and birds. Just standard business here at NSF. Because Lord knows we love bird watching. And golly, it is moist out. There is condensation covering everything up here on the hut roof. And this is a photo from D that I believe D just took on a cell phone. No,
I don't think that's a photo.
Oh, is this a live feed from you? This is live. Wow, I completely missed that. Wow. Just finding random appreciation for just other random and wonderful and glorious things. What more can you do? As we get another view towards the Starship launch facility at Launch Complex 39A in a very tall crane over there. Yeah, the skies are just golden over there, and hopefully we will see a full stack Starship vehicle on that very launch mount right there on your screen by the end. Oh, thanks, Jay. Right in the middle of a Starship monologue. Oh gosh. Thank you, Jay. Hopefully we'll see a full on Starship full stack on that very launch mount before the end of the year. I think we will. I'm confident. Apparently we have more clouds to watch. Okay, Jay, go ahead. Yes, and those are the exact same. I think that's the same contrails. They're above the cranes there in Port Canaveral. They're very high up in the sky, and past a certain point, after T0, they kind of blend in with everything else. Yeah, wonderful. It's a wonderful morning here, folks. I think D is still bringing. I think D's bringing another camera towards it.
Sorry, I know we kind of had a launch here, but we've got the moon.
Moon. And the crowd chanted, "Moon, moon,
Moon,
moon."
moon, moon. Yeah, I am sure the timing of the Discord delay did not do that justice.
Yeah, I know, right? It was like moon, 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 moon. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, that's a great shot, D. And it's so high up.
I'm just so happy.
ahead.
It's a combination of clouds and the aftermath of the launch, just the plume that's still crossing in front. It's it's fun looking up at the sky after and just seeing the trail as it slowly fades away and becomes indistinguishable from distant clouds.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. And also, the moon is in ideal position right now because when the moon is like straight above your head, you are looking at it through less atmosphere, so any imagery of it will be a lot more crisp and clear. So where it is in the sky right now is ideal for this kind of viewing.
Yes.
Wonderful. Well, folks, as we continue to admire this morning's moon after the launch of the Starlink 10-35 mission, I believe it is time to begin wrapping our coverage of the mission this morning. So I want to start by thanking those who were in the field today, obviously being D being out there in the field, sending you a couple of feeds that are actually on your screen right now of both the launch and this wonderful moon this morning. D, thank you very much for rolling out and bringing us these awesome feeds.
Of course. It's always a good day when you have a moon in the sky. That's what I say every time, right? It was a good launch. Great hanging out with y'all, and I'll see y'all next time.
Wonderful. And also, behind the scenes, pushing the buttons and pulling the levers, making the live stream do live stream things, was the one and only Jay Keegan. My name is Max Evans. I have been your host for this morning's coverage, and I will see y'all again next time.
And here we go.
There's the W. Here's ignition.
Doubling up.
Did it just do a Kerbal?
Back to the moon and beyond.
Put that in the big bag, you know.
Back at home, we all have a lot of work to do, but from here, that sure looks like a perfect world.
Propulsion continues to be normal.
We did have an observation. 343 unfolds to go.
It's orange!
Water towers can fly!
Bingo! Right in the center.
Where's Jacqueline? There it is!
That was surreal.
That's not what we want to see.
No!
Oh my God.
Yikes, you bet. We don't need any more of these.